Hi, my name is Jeff Mullen from Point of Grace Church here in Waukee, Iowa. And as a pastor, one of my goals for the church is to continually be engaging our culture. And when the community has needs, I want to see the church at the forefront of helping to meet those needs. And when we find people and families that are hurting either through tragedy or bad choices, we want to be there to minister to them. And like you, in times of natural disaster, the church joins with the rest of the community in serving the needs of those impacted. Teaching people in our congregations to engage our culture is what we as pastors do. Now, one way we can engage our culture is to help those in our churches fulfill their responsibilities as good citizens of these United States and to participate in the voting process. I know you can already hear people crying out in your church, separation of church and state, but it won't be the first time as a pastor you've heard someone complain. Now, when you encourage your congregation to get involved, you can expect to receive a letter. You'll get a letter a lot like this from a group claiming to want to unite us in separation of church and state. The letter itself is threatening in tone and basically tells how all sorts of bad things will happen to you if you engage your congregation to participate with the rest of the community at your ballot box. It's even signed by someone that claims to be a reverend. And I got to tell you something. In the history, hear me now, in the history of the Republic, there has never been a church that has been penalized or lost its tax-exempt status for what was said from the pulpit or for handing out nonpartisan voter guides. It just hasn't happened. And unlike the picture the Reverend tries to paint, government agents are not going to barge into your church and stop you from encouraging your congregation to vote. In fact, just the opposite is true. Most every community leader and elected official wants the churches to be involved in voting. If this reverend wants to preach fear and intimidation, that's his business. But I don't particularly want him trying to tell me what to preach from my pulpit. This letter he produces is intended to mislead and bully pastors and churches into silence, using as his theme a very warped view of separation of church and state. Now, while I firmly believe that the government should not be establishing a church, I also believe the government should not be hindering the church. Separation of church and state, it was intended to keep the government out of the churches, not the church and Christianity out of the government. Now, if you look under the resource tab here on iowapastors.com, you'll find a letter from Liberty Legal that outlines how pastors can help their congregations fulfill their duties as citizens to vote. It also gives you a phone number to contact them should someone try to intimidate you or your church for engaging your culture at the ballot box. You can also go to the resource tab where you can find nonpartisan voter guides, and they're available to you free. Just download them. These don't tell people how to vote. They simply inform them about who's running and their position on issues. Don't let those attempting to silence the church intimidate you or your congregation into silence.